quotient, that'd be great too. Okay, and thank you, as always, to our supporters here. University of Manchester, RPS, IPA, Asander and Anquast. We increasingly use and need their help to put on our events. Now, personally, I've spent the last 5 or 6 months involved in various efforts for start-up oil and gas companies, trying to start up in London in some way, or companies that have started up and are trying to forge ahead, trying to raise money or look at growing or whatever. One of the things you realise, probably it's been going on a while, but I've realised particularly in the last 6 or 9 months, is that investors, investment managers in London are almost completely disinterested in the oil and gas sector, particularly for small to medium-sized companies. And if they're thinking of investing in Shell, they actually find they link to Sainsbury's and invest in that instead. And perhaps if they're looking for Tullow, they invest in Tesco, and so on. And there are a couple of reasons for that, and there's some evidence for that. And one is, if you look at the fortunes of AIM companies over the last 4 or 5 years, I mean, typically an AIM company is down 50% in share price over the last over that period. And somebody was telling me an interesting statistic that only about 1 in 12 of small companies that get started doing E&P in London on the market or privately actually make it beyond the size of about $500 million. So there's an atmosphere of we're not interested in this sector around at the moment. And a couple of reasons. One is manifestly oil and gas companies that are involved in exploration, typically small ones, don't deliver. And that within the context of our industry has acquired a reputation for incidents, whether it's Macondo or Buncefield or Elgin or incidents in Norway or Brazil. So people are wary of things going on. And today we have a whole day devoted to the theme of what's going on in our industry. Is there any way of tackling the issue of incidents, reserves write-downs, and actually problems with development projects? And our morning is devoted to that topic. I may have told this story a few months ago, but I had an investment manager from a company, investment house that I know fairly well, say there is only one thing worse for a small company than drilling a bunch of dry holes, and that is drilling a discovery. Because if they're not careful, it leads them onto a sense of euphoria and get involved in the development project. And the view of the market at the moment is development projects are late, run over budget, and don't deliver the production that has been promised. Apart from that, they're great. But, you know, they're very damaging to small companies' share prices. So the idea of the morning session is to look at that issue in particular. Development projects in deep water, which are by far are increasingly common, and to say what is going on here? Why is all this occurring? And our first 3 talks this morning, so the first 2 before the coffee break and the one afterwards, are really a sort of 3-step journey along that process of saying what happens with development projects, what is the evidence that what I just said is true, that they tend to be late, over budget, and don't deliver the production they promised, which leads in turn to potential reserve write-downs, NPV, missing NPV, and so on and so forth. So 3 presentations. The first one by Mike Bowman from the University of Manchester, ex-BP colleague of mine, who will help us think about the impact of geology on the performance of deep water fields. Rolando Gachta from IPA will then look at the very large body of evidence that they have acquired and maintained, which looks at the performance of many, 100, 200 development projects, and what are the outturns. And then after the break, Mark Hayes will look at a smaller number of projects in more detail and say, what happened, what are the issues, and how might we avoid landing ourselves in hot water. So those are the first 3 talks, and then we are going to sort of mid-late morning construct a panel discussion to address the question of how might some of these problems actually be avoided. Okay, so with that, I'm going to ask Mike Bowman to step up and